Hi everyone, this is Shantae, aka Shanteezy on Twitter and Instagram, or just simply Shantae. I'm here with my after show of my analysis today. And before I start giving you numbers on COVID, I do want to take this time to send my condolences to Chad with Boseman. He was a great up and coming actor who had amazing roles from Black Panther, as we all know, T'Challa. I think he was King T'Challa. There we go. To playing Jackie Robinson in 42, to playing James Brown in Get On Up, and other host of movies that he has played in. So I want to take this time. This is a shocking, devastating loss. We did not know that he was battling colon cancer for 4 years. It has progressed into stage 4. And, just to send my condolences to his family, because he was young. He was about a decade older than me. And to lose someone this young to a colon cancer, it's very serious. So we need to take this time to cherish our loved ones, to love on them as fast as we can, because we can lose them just like that. So we know God sits up on high on the throne. Like, this year hasn't been a great year, and hasn't been a great year for me personally with my family, what's going on with them sickness wise, and then not still having a job, right now, and all of the host of things. God still sits up on high. And with COVID-19 and with everything that's going on, God still sits on the throne. No matter what it looks like, God is still here. And if you don't believe in him, the universe is still here. You still have your health. You still have a roof over your head, food on the table, clothes on your back. It may not be the brand new shoes or the brand new this, but you have what other people don't have, because there's people that are homeless, no job, no food, no clothes on their back, no place to lay their head nor their kid's head. So as long as you got somebody on your side, whether it's God, Allah, or just the universe, if you're a spiritual person that just says the universe, and to even non-believers, you still have your health. So let's just take a moment and to appreciate life and what it is. And to the Boseman family, I send my condolences, and may Chad rest in peace and Wakanda forever. Now, I'm going to focus on the COVID numbers, because these numbers are dire and it's serious, and this situation seems like it's not going to get any better under the leadership of Donald Trump. So here we are. As of August 28th, 2020, globally, we sit at 24 million cases around the world, 637,475 cases of COVID, with our global death toll sitting at 835,092. Here in the U.S., these numbers for our cases, because we have the highest cases in the globe, and we do account for a fourth of the global cases of coronavirus, is at 5,912,861, with the death toll at 181,748. Now, in these countries, the following: Brazil is at 3.8 million. India is at 3.3, almost at 3.4 million. They had 3,387,803. Russia's at 977,730. South Africa is at 620,132. Mexico is at 579,914. Peru is at 621,997. Colombia is at 581,995. And Spain rounds out that top 10 at 439,286. Now, here at home, according to the New York Times COVID map, California has 697,703 cases, followed by Texas. They have 627,901. Florida has 615,795 cases. New York, which was once the epicenter of all this, is now at 437,426. Georgia is at 249,317. Illinois is at 232,052. Arizona is at 200,694. New Jersey is at 192,751. North Carolina is at 163,154. Tennessee is at 147,814. And to round this top 11, Louisiana is at 146,406. And let's keep in mind the population for the U.S. again is 328.2 million people. China has 1.393 billion, and they're still at 89,000. So we know that the U.S. does not have a national coordinated plan. We have a man that sits in our White House who is using our White House for financial personal gain and power, right? No national plan instituted. America, as Kamala Harris said, is wounded. Our wounds are open. Seriously. Like, all jokes aside, it's just open wound for open season. We have lost so many, not just notoriety stars, we have lost so many American lives due to COVID-19 and still losing more. It's just more casualties. And all because we do not have a competent leader leading our country. This is bad. Very bad. And the situation is not going to get any worse because we're still going to run into more financial situation. We're still going to run into more public health situation. So as a business major, a accounting major, took some finance courses. And I learned this through my microeconomics classes and macroeconomics classes. When you cannot solve the public health crisis, you cannot solve the financial crisis. It will be hard to fix, especially when you live in a country that derives off of consumer participation, which includes consumer spending. And that's the moral of the story. Now I just want to get into Jacob Blake's story. According to CNN, Jacob Blake is no longer chained to a hospital bed from his ankle. However, his father appeared on CNN and he said this: "Why did they have that cold steel on my son's ankle?" Because we all know that Jacob Blake is paralyzed from the waist down. So he can't probably feel that cold chain to his ankle. He's in and out of consciousness. He's highly medicated because of the bullet wounds that he got. And then he said he can't get up, and even if he could, he couldn't even if he wanted to. The Kenosha County Sheriff spokesman, I think it's Sergeant David Wright, said this: "The reason Blake was handcuffed to the bed because he has felony warrants for his arrest from," I have the whole thing, "from crimes prior to shooting incident. Anyone with this classification level that we are guarding in the hospital will be treated in this manner." Pause. Treated in this manner. So even though the police was wrong to shoot him and not question, because you were feared that you saw the knives there. Hello, that you think for 1 second that you just shouldn't open fire. That sounds stupid. It was reckless and they know they were wrong. And that bullshit statement from the spokesman, the sergeant, was careless and it was reckless. And I can't even say reckless. It was just not genuine. It was disingenuous. Let's just put it that way. Okay? Um Blake's uncle, Justin Blake, told CNN it shows how little class and compassion the sheriff has. And it's true. These cops don't have no regard for black life. And not just black men, black women too. Because I think about Breonna Taylor's case as much as I want to shake my TV screen and gave, disrespectful, and gave a piece of my mind to Daniel Cameron's bitch ass. And yes, I'm going to say his bitch ass because you had time to speak at that goddamn RNC, but did not have time to arrest those cops from killing Breonna Taylor, unannounced, showing up to the wrong residence in her house and open fire. And seeing pictures of these men living their best lives. Utterly disgraceful. And it took the sheriff, 3 months, 4 months to fire homeboy? This shows right here that cops have no respect for black life. None. Period. So they list all the charges, his warrants, including connection with a domestic abuse. They also listed something with sexual abuse. But all of this, and I don't want to say it doesn't matter right now when somebody was shot at in front of their kids for no reason. So all of these charges is just straight up bullshit. Yeah, our country's in serious trouble. It's in serious goddamn trouble. And we have a con grifter from Queens, New York, from the same city that I'm from, and I'm embarrassed to say he's from New York. I'm so embarrassed because New York has great leaders like Andrew Cuomo, right? And then you got Donald Trump, who's leading the country. And I'm like Joy. I'm going to take a cue from Joy Reid's book. I don't call Donald Trump the president of the United States or Mr. President because he doesn't deserve it. He constantly disrespects the American norms, which America was never a friend to black people in years. But, however, no president acts the way Donald Trump does in terms of disrespecting and shitting on democracy. Even he makes Richard Nixon look cookie cutter, okay? Like Donald Trump cozies up to dictators that he tried to be, which he's a punk ass bitch. And yes, I said it. Donald Trump acts like, everything he does is right and it's wrong. And for him to use our White House for his financial personal gain and his children, to one that works for him and making money off the White House, and we paying her salary, it's disrespect to the country. And the fact is that he has no respect for no one, not even our foreign allies. So why would you call that a president? And he cheated his way to the White House. Let's just make that clear. So there you have it. And New Yorkers in Brooklyn, we all know I'm a Harlem girl. I'm a Harlem girl residing on the Upper West Side. But I'm still Harlem all day, every day. Donald Trump's office, from where I live down the block now, I grew up 20 minutes from where I live at now. I grew up on 116th Street and 5th Avenue. If I was able to get in a cab or take the bus, the M1 bus, I'm right at his office. Did I ever see Donald Trump in my neighborhood in Harlem? When Harlem was Harlem? No. My church was on Lenox Avenue. For the gentrified folks, Malcolm X Boulevard. Still Lenox Avenue. Even though I appreciate the avenues are named after high influential black people. Harlem is still Harlem. And yes, no, he did not come by my church. And he is a scam artist. He's always been a scam artist. He's been a scam artist since the beginning of time. And yeah, wow, Donald Trump is a punk ass bitch. Donald Trump always scammed people. Donald Trump has been built his career on scamming people and built on racism for a very long time. Donald Trump scammed business folks that he had to settle with them. Donald Trump tried to screw over the mob. Yeah, Clinton had an office in Harlem, 55 West 125th Street, where the Social Security office was before they moved. But the difference is, Clinton and them, they didn't scam people. And the gentrification really came from Giuliani and Bloomberg and some of these black politicians. They sold out New York. They were part of that too. And I have no hatred towards none of these folks because some of them used to be great people and they let money be the ruler of all evil. But getting to the conclusion of my point, I don't call Donald Trump a president and I will never will. Not a day in my life. So that being said, but yeah, these guys have a disregard to black life. A very disregard to black life. Period. Now with this RNC versus the DNC, I said, who did it better? My eyes, we all know the DNC was great. I think Joe Biden had 28.6 million viewers, I think. I think I got the numbers wrong. And Donald Trump was not too shy, like at 20 something, in the mid 20s. Yeah, he's not your president. Not everybody's president. President said that over 33% of the people that voted for him. Only thing, my issue with the RNC, not the RNC, but the DNC, I felt like courts should have been brought up. Because not only the White House, the executive branch is up for grabs. We got the Senate, which we need to gain seats in. We got to keep the majority of the House. And we got to get liberal and progressive judges on the courts. RBG is 87 years old and battling cancer. She's resting home right now, but the Republicans try to write her obituary for a very long time. But God said no. God said no. So we have to focus on the courts and not just gaining seats on the Supreme Court. We need to worry about our district courts and the circuit courts because they determine state and local laws. Same as our local legislators. And don't make this election the only election you vote for. Don't wait every 4 years to vote for a president. Vote every year. I live in New York City. So, of course, this year is important. We have congressmen. Our senators don't run this year. Our senators are not up for election to 2022 and 2024. But this matters. The U.S. congressional seats, of course, and some state legislators. And, of course, some judicial courts as well. Yeah, they appointed over 200 judges. And they still try to put more on it. Because they know Donald Trump is in trouble. And vote is a huge thing. It's important. It's extremely important. Also, we got 2021 in New York. We got to vote for a new mayor. Because de Blasio term is up. You got to vote for a new mayor. There's a couple candidates. Then 2022, it's the midterm elections. The 2018 midterm elections was a huge turnout. So we got to get a huge turnout again. Mobilize, organize, talk to a friend, and vote. Absolutely. Vote, vote, vote. Every position for every election. Every position's up for election. Everyone. Everything. And depending on what state you live in. I know New York State just turned blue. Their state legislature just turned blue. And everybody think, oh, New York is a progressive state. Most of us, because the city makes up of the population voting blue in some counties upstate, but then you got other counties upstate, a good chunk that are conservative. And it's the same for California as well. So you think about those things and it's just like, oh, state legislative do matter. They do matter. And so that was my only beef with the DNC. But otherwise, the messaging was pretty good. And it was authentic and it was real. Joe Biden is an empathetic person. Whether you agree with his past positions on the crime bill, which I'm going to say about this crime bill again, there was overwhelming bipartisan support. Bernie Sanders voted for the bill, whether it was one part or two part, he voted for the whole entire bill, and the state has the third largest incarceration rate. And in addition to that, there were black supporters from either in Congress or without. One of the few ones that was against it was Al Sharpton. Mostly all the activists I knew were for the goddamn bill. So let's just make that shit clear. So like I said, whether you like his past positions or not, he's an empathetic person. He's a person that will listen to you. Even if you're saying stupid shit out your mouth, he will listen and he will be coherent. And now that he has the baddest chick on the ticket with him, which is the person I wanted to be president, which is Kamala Harris, they're a great team. They mesh well together. They understand each other. They nearly cut from the same cloth. They both are people of faith. They are empathetic. Kamala Harris lived experience. She's Jamaican and Indian. Thank you. And she is a person that understands. Now, with the whole prosecutorial record, I suggest that you follow Black Woman Views. She'll give you a whole rundown of her prosecutorial record. Because I was one of the people, I always supported her and always liked her and the Congress, as you know, I watched her before the Kavanaugh hearings. I was watching her from the session hearings, like, ooh, she's good. But that article was like, wow. And then I was like, it didn't sound right. And I'm still support her either way. But that don't sound right. And then when Tulsi Gabbard tried to blow it up in her face, I was like, that really doesn't sound right, because that sounds like a conservative talking point. And so when the Mercury News and the Sacramento Bee, the Sacramento Bee came up with the facts, I was like, Tulsi is a fucking liar. And then when I started looking at Black Women Views page, I was like, oh, this is legit. She's serious about this. I was like, I'm following her because I like her. And I really fell in love with Kamala. And Kamala did a lot of intervention and prevention work. A lot of intervention and prevention work. And she did work that I fundraised for, because my profession, I'm a nonprofit professional. And I worked from fundraising to programs to being a volunteer assistant, to being an executive assistant. So either way, I worked around fundraising, and I worked on the financial side of things, and I worked on the human resources side of things, and not-for-profit as well. And most of the organizations I worked for were at-risk prevention programs, or did some kind of intervention and prevention work. And Kamala has done it as a criminal justice, as a former prosecutor. What prosecutor works on intervention and prevention programs? not the ones that I knew of. And yes, she does come with her receipts all the time. So I suggest everyone to follow her because you may be really enlightened and educated on Kamala. So here we are. Now getting to the RNC. We all know the RNC was, and everybody's like, and I watched it just like how I watched the DNC, and everyone's like, well, why are you giving it them ratings? I'm watching it because I watched it on MSNBC for the fact checks. And I know everything they said was a complete lie. It was no platform. It was no Republican agenda. Past conventions, whether it was Democratic, Republican, whether I liked the Republican policies, which did not help me as a middle-class black woman that was raised in Harlem, they had some kind of platform. And it was judges, conservative values, and globalism. You didn't see none of that shit there. You didn't see none of that shit there at all. They didn't talk about being leaders, globalist leaders. They didn't talk about NATO, being a part of NATO and, being on the side of their allies. They didn't talk about that. It was, as David said, pure propaganda. And like what Lift Every Voice Media said, we got to get this man out. He got to go because he's going to destroy our credibility. He's already destroying our credibility around the world. He got Angela Merkel and all our European allies and our African allies and our Asian allies basically just like laughing at us, right? Even our North American allies. Just because they did a trade deal with you doesn't mean they're talking shit behind your back. Let's just be quite frank. So they're laughing. And they're doing a moment. So that's what's going on. That's what they're doing. So we all know the DNC won the night. But as I said, mobilize, organize, talk to a friend. If you want to donate to the Biden campaign, donate. I'm unemployed right now, which I'm going to be looking for work. I'm claiming in existence, but I still donate $5 each week. So I suggest that you all at least donate something. Or if you can't donate, volunteer. There's ways you can volunteer virtually. You can either do phone banks or do other things to engage voters and, advocate for the Biden and Harris ticket because that's what they need now. And yes, it was pure torture. This RNC was torture. Mike Pence lied. Trump lied. They all mentioned living in Joe Biden's America was terrible. But the difference is they didn't have that smoke for Kamala. And Kamala counterpunched the both of them on the same day that Trump was giving his speech. And they did not mention Kamala, not one lip of Kamala. They just targeted Joe Biden's career, which Joe Biden's career was way much better than both of their careers combined together. Joe Biden, like I said, there were some positions that we all did not agree on. He voted for the Iraq War, which I'm like, dude, why? But Joe Biden is a decent man, and Joe Biden was one hell of a vice president. A way better vice president than the current vice president in his place. And you would have think that he would have took the same stance in the same position as Joe Biden. You would have think he carry out the same, at least, gesture as Joe Biden. Mike Pence may not disrespect Trump, but he's sure enough letting Trump shit up our democracy. Joe Biden actually worked with President Obama. They actually got shit done together. And because of their leadership and their teamwork is the reason why the auto industry did not tank. The reason why our economy has not crashed. It was on the verge of crashing. Well, because of the Obama-Biden leadership for 8 years, It's the reason why the economy bounced back and gave Trump a booming economy, and both Trump and Pence let him do this shit it up. So that's what happened. So as I leave you with this tonight, vote. Vote, 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 vote. But until then, I'll be back with a short edition of my show tomorrow. And go follow me on Twitter. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Shantae Berry. It's a ChantaeBerry. Or you can follow me on Instagram. So until then, have a great night.